Yahoy. Hi. Hello. The world. Is this thing on? Ken
I can hear
Marshall.
you loud and
Is
clear.
my microphone on?
Yeah,
This is welcome to the super professional practiced show where all the technology works all the time. Uh, Magma? Can we just let's start there.
that sounds
I'm
great.
Max. Hello,
Yeah,
Magma.
cheers, man. Good to see you.
Where does that come from?
I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and my business partner Alex and I were out at brunch because that's what you do when you live in Portland, Oregon on a Sunday. And we were getting a bit existential, and I said, Alex, what would you be if you could be anything in the universe? And Alex gave his very poetic answer. And then before I could give mine, he said to me, "You're a lot like the magma of a volcano. Beautiful, you like to look at it, but from a distance because you'll get destroyed if you get too close." And I captured that and saved it in my brain and immediately made it my shtick on LinkedIn.
Wow. Well, hey, everything's got an origin story. Welcome, Magma, aka the Ken the Marshall, the one and only. Yeah. So I found you on LinkedIn, and we got to having a lot of fun doing the talkie, and here we are. What are you drinking?
I got a Sierra Nevada pale, and it's funny. You're like, I found you on LinkedIn, just cold and broken in a corner underneath some paper boxes. You rescued me, brought me to the show. Beers with
I found
Max.
him. We got him. We took shelter. Together. We took
Yeah.
shelter together.
Yep. So a classic for today for a classic man.
You've got. So we're going to talk about agency stuff. I think.
I'd love to.
Would you like to? Yeah, because okay, I think we're in the right place then. We could
Okay.
talk about other things.
It's that or jujitsu, this banjo that I can't play behind me, or you could teach me about golf.
Yeah. So random skill sets. Go.
Exactly.
Jiu-jitsu is yours, and
Yeah.
ukulele. Do you play that thing?
I know how to play like one chord and then sing badly with it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I spent 20 years playing professional paintball, so we got that out
that's
of the
right.
way.
Yeah, you did. Which
Yeah,
is
we got that
amazing
out
in
of the
my
way.
opinion.
Yeah, and
I've never
never did
met
I
anybody.
break a bone playing paintball. It's all I break things playing golf and ping pong apparently. Okay, now that we got all that out of the way, professionally, uh, why are you the way you are?
Wow. Let me try and compartmentalize
How's
a
that?
bit
You
to
weren't
answer that
expecting that one,
question.
were you?
I mean, for me, actually, it's a pretty simple answer, which is not as fun, but I was born like this, and I've always liked to try to make a dollar at new, interesting things that I haven't done before. So the agency thing was an accident. I could have been a number of other types of things, but in college, I took an information architecture course and learned that like fairies and unicorns weren't behind Google search, that it was an algorithm that I could manipulate, and I changed my major, and so here I am.
Wow. Uh, did, did you have any other weird entrepreneurial like sub ventures on your way up?
Of course, there's like over 20 something businesses that have made at least like one or $100.
Well, then let's
So
go most obscure business that you were in, even if it
I'm
was one check, most obscure check.
yeah. So my favorite, most obscure check is when I would take trash, like from my like parents. We had our neighbors in the cul-de-sac, and I would take their trash, basically stuff they didn't want, put it on my parents' lawn, and have a yard sale. Like I did that a couple times, and a
That's a
few people
trash
bought stuff.
sale. That's a
Or
huge
sorry,
trash sale.
right? Yeah, a yard sale, a
Welcome to
shitty
Ken's trash
trash sale.
sale.
Yeah. And then my second favorite one was that is just super random was I was really into a drop shipping phase at one point, and I had wooden watches and mugs that said coffee is my spirit animal, and a lady at the mall bought one in real time because she saw me wearing it, and I had an app on my phone to sell it to her.
Wow.
20
Um,
bucks.
in college, I went to a really a worldwide college, and there was a big Saudi
Okay.
presence there, and the Saudi Arabian women, the culture there, they're not supposed to speak up. Enter Babson, Massachusetts.
Okay.
It turns out that 40% of the grade is class participation.
Okay.
So I literally had a business where I taught the Saudi women how to be the teacher's pet. Like
Stop.
it was, I swear, it was a tutor. It was a tutor that had nothing to do with academics. I taught them to sit in the front. I taught them to incessantly email the teacher. I gave them three questions and answer briefs every day and told them, you raise your hand for every single question. The teacher will not call on you more than 3 times. She'll never call on you. You'll never get a question wrong, but you keep raising your hand.
Did they compensate you with money or like a date?
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah.
were you
Well, the
going?
parents did. So the parents did because
Oh,
they
okay.
would have failed out of school.
Yeah.
So it was like really lucrative. I don't want to throw any numbers around, but they got
I was
like
gonna
oil
say
money.
4 figures? Five? Like, what are we
Four,
talking about?
five,
Rubies?
five for
Diamonds?
a semester, 5 figures. Yeah,
Incredible. You're
for
better
a
than I am
daily
then
for a
at math.
daily briefing, and it was
Yeah.
no academics.
So you were consulting for a while
Yeah.
now. This is your whole life.
So this is even weirder because now I'm into service design,
Yeah.
not and I don't care. So like marketing agencies, we talked about this. Like I'm designing every service that's not the marketing. I don't care. I don't care about the marketing
Yep.
service. Like that's
Yeah.
everyone knows how to do that. It's the
Yeah.
how to behave. Where do you sit? How do you raise your hand? How do you communicate? What's the extracurricular activities? How do you look the part? So I
Yeah.
just made that connection that was like, I guess
Which
it's
is
always
wise,
been
by the
that
way.
way.
Yeah. Because the services are commodified. I mean, let's be honest, with technology and then a billion people wanting to be, the next Steve Jobs through marketing agencies somehow, I do think the differentiator is like build software or get better at like delivery and ops and
Yeah.
customer success. And so, yeah.
Relationships. I was just listening to David Baker the other day, and he talks
The
about,
GOAT.
yeah, the GOAT, right? I'm so excited to speak at his event and also terrified in
Yeah, I would
January.
be too.
It's been 10 years of courting, and like I keep putting him in my books, and I'm just like waiting for the letter. And then it's like, okay, you got your chance. I'm like, oh shit. But yeah, he talks about true experts will even deliver differently than non-experts. So the business of expertise and how you wield expertise. Like you know the things, but you'll also, because you're such an expert, you will know the best way to deliver it. That comes from experience. But anyway, enough about me. Agency world. So you got into agency world. How? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I would say it's probably a traditional path to a lot of people. So after college, I worked at an agency, one doing sales before I even ever did any marketing, because that's what my major was before I switched it. And then I went to agency number two. And so
You
for
can
a year and a
major
half,
in sales.
sure. Yeah, we could at Washington State University. I even won a sales competition. It was pretty great. Yeah.
What'd you sell?
We had to sell what industrial printers to like 5 different people on a buying committee. It was fantastic, and it's funny. I actually won because they gave a certain amount of people who couldn't close the deal. But the reason why I was able to win is because of how well I did up until the point of not being able to close. Even though I got a guy who wasn't allowed to let me close, and he like shook my hand afterwards. He's like, "Bro, I wanted to say yes so much." So,
Have you seen Office Space?
oh, of course, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, where they just all beat up on the printer. Like that would have been my presentation. I'd have been like, this could be you,
right. It's
or
good.
this could not be you. Thank you. My
Or
name's
else,
Ken.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's your
Yeah. I
choice.
I won a
So from
marketing
there,
contest. I won a national marketing contest, my capstone course in college. Yeah. Well,
goodness gracious, as
the
always.
professor made the mistake of saying that if we got into the finals in New York, then we'd get automatic A's. So I just put it all on red. I didn't do any of the homework. I just focused on the project, and we got invited to New York, and we won out of the top three in New
Let's
York.
go.
Yeah, and then I got the job, and I realized that corporate America is built to destroy good ideas.
So, I mean, you're touching on a very important thing, which is I was going to get to that of like when I did that, I went to the Herman Miller office in Portland, their manufacturing plant, to get my custom made chair for winning, which it was like one of those, like $5,000 chairs that was custom made for my body. And I go through the office and like, so yeah, you're going to be like, your starting salary would be like 130K on the management track. And I'm like, okay, okay. But I look around and I literally, Max, I kid you not, I was like, I'm going to be a rich, depressed person if I continue selling. And shout out to Herman Miller. I mean, it was a fun tour. Thank you for the chair. But like, I sold it to start one of my first companies. Like, like, you know what I mean? I wanted to do what you just said, which is design a life that is beautifully worth living. So anyway, agency, quit that. Haven't had a job since. I started a freelancing business. I started a couple more. They all sucked. They failed. Consulting to my first agency, sold it to Revenues End, and we just sold that last year. So a weird journey.
You know how somebody says something and you realize that you've never heard that before?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the chair. I'm dying. I've never heard that. It's like
Say more. Like, what do you mean? Which part?
I want a chair. I've never like went what? That's crazy.
That was the prize for
You
the
know, you
sales
got like
competition.
golden a golden goose, I'd get that, but a chair, a $5,000 custom. Where is the chair? Oh, you sold it.
I did.
Oh, do
Dude,
you
I was
regret
all
it?
in.
You have to regret it.
The beautiful thing was I used it for what, year and a half? It was incredible. Some of my favorite memories. I have pictures and videos of it. I don't miss it at all. I needed that money literally to like pay rent while I was building my client business. So I don't regret it.
Wow. Well, shout out to the chair wherever you are today.
The real
Someone's
one.
enjoying that. Like, I can only imagine you putting that on like eBay, and instead of like pictures, you've just got like your body. It's like you're buying a suit. You're just like 36, 38, 45 long. It's just like, are we
Everyone,
buying a
it
chair
wasn't,
or a suit?
I mean, it wasn't hard to sell because of how cheaply, given the value of buying one custom made on the Herman Miller site was, given like, you know what I mean? And so it was the shipping. The
Yeah.
shipping was the worst part about that because it's hard to ship a big, heavy chair.
Yeah. All right. Well, wow. This is going well. Did I mention agencies?
Yeah, so I mean that was sort of like my path, right? I mean, all this other fun stuff, but yeah.
So how'd you come to like career agency?
Yeah, I mean it was pretty I didn't really care about how I didn't work for anybody else. It was just I needed to get there ASAP to where I was at least level. And so after I quit the last agency, just started freelancing, doing literally anything people would pay me money for, like
No.
anything. And eventually I started consulting. I consulted well. People got good results. I did a bunch of, things to grow, start hiring like contractors while I built it. That sold to Revenues End, who I work at now. And then we eventually just sold on Folio last year. So it was mostly just growing, testing, and getting better and leveling up sort of year after year. I always set sort of a 20 or 30% goal over the previous year.
What's the like what agency era do you think we're living in? So like I feel like I lived in the inbound era,
It's a great
in
question.
agency.
Yeah.
Like I was an inbound. And then after I left, everybody got like the RevOps, but no, sorry. Then it was marketing and sales alignment. And then it was
Yeah.
marketing and sales alignment. Then RevOps. Um, Now I'm not sure where we are, but somewhere demand gen was sort of a trendy thing. So yeah, like how do you identify as an agent? There you go. How do you identify in marketing world?
Yeah. How do I identify as a unicorn alien? No. So it's funny that you say demand gen and growth marketing, because if you ask somebody for the definition, it's the same definition as marketing, like the
Yeah,
base definition. It's like, oh, well, in demand gen, you use the ICP and you track like MQLs through the pipeline. I'm like, should every CMO on the
yeah.
planet Earth does
It's
that?
like no, inbound marketing. They come to you, and you're like,
So
that's what marketing is.
yeah, so I would say two things. One is I think people have to be a lot more gangster about tracking their tactics that used to be able to sell their retainers on based on the tactics and deliverables, tracking that through pipeline to actual revenue and business outcomes like profitability, cost per acquisition, CAC, all that good stuff. And the second thing is community. I know more people now that are dropping their budgets where the CEO and the founder is getting on LinkedIn, thought leadership on their site, building out webinars. So it's community and actual revenue attribution. I don't care about the methodology of the attribution. It doesn't matter if it's going up and to the right. But those are the two big ones that we're doing,
Yeah,
and then I see other people doing.
funnel, funnel in there, full funnel was a thing,
I
an
mean, I
era.
hate the term funnel, but sure. Like I don't. So my a
I'm
team
just
member
saying
said the
all
other
the
day,
words that I too don't agree should be like
"Oh, then yeah,
or on somebody's website. but
Yep.
this is what
Full
these are the
funnel.
eras. Like these are like the
Yeah.
buzzwords that people got caught into, and then we're on our websites forever. I really like community. I think that's a good way to describe. I think we're at one of those big changes, because I only think there's
Yeah.
three eras. I think there's the era where people listen to salespeople, then the era where people were doing their own research, and now we're in the era where you got to just phone a friend because there's too much content. People don't trust it.
Low
So
trust,
community, yeah, community.
oversaturation. Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
so
that.
I think those are the three. And we're in, like, you have to be in communities. You have to build relationships. You have to know someone that knows someone to get into a new target account. And when you're in the bidding cycle, or whatever, the buying cycle, you got to have some people that are willing to go to bat for you, that are trusted advisors of the people. So yeah, I like that community marketing. Nearbound has been thrown around
Mm,
as the thing. What are they?
I haven't
And then
heard
it
that one.
was, yeah, there's a book on my desk. I'm in it. It's weird. Uh, you ever gotten a book and then as you're reading it, there's a whole chapter about you?
No, you're
Yeah,
better than me.
I did. It
That's
happened.
amazing.
It happened. Jared Fuller's Nearbound.
Are you famous, by the way? Like secretly, Max? Are
Look,
you actually famous?
look, see, it's in here. It's in here. It's on page like 140.
I'm
And I
actually
called
gonna
Jared. I was like,
buy.
Jared, you didn't tell me I'm in the book. There's a whole chapter, like not like a page, like a whole chapter. I'm like, this is the greatest case study ever. He's like,
Truly,
that's
that's a
crazy. No
life
one
goal.
told you. I was like, yeah, here we are. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Nearbound or ecosystem led growth
I've heard
is
that
okay. Yeah,
ecosystem.
ELG. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, frogs and plants and
that whole thing.
weather.
Yeah. Leapfrog market. I'm just gonna make up words. Leapfrog marketing.
I made up human engagement optimization last year just for fun. So
Love that.
yeah, I mean SEO is always
Heg
dying like every other
Hegler.
marketing channel. So, yeah,
Hegler's human and no optimist Heo.
HEO. Yeah, EO.
You got to have a good acronym. You're really close to her. Human engagement. Give me an R.
Something.
I'd like to buy an R. I'd like to guess the word. Yeah, I can't. I can't do it anymore. The buzzword bingo. We need to. This is why, with all these strategy methodologies, which I am, a big fan of. I learn a ton from listening and learning to people that like train chief strategy officers and have methodologies for
Yeah.
like annual planning, quarterly planning. But everyone's got more buzzwords for numbers, uh,
Yep.
rocks, uh, OKRs,
OKRs. Yep.
KPIs.
Yeah.
And then I go to my buddy's company. It's in biotech, and I'm like, yeah. So we'll just use something really simple like KPIs. Everyone's like, what is that? And I'm like, ah. So now I've adopted the term important numbers.
Oh, you mentioned. I love that, by the way.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I'm like, hey, what are your important numbers? And they're like, I understand what you mean. Like every year we look at these important numbers, and it's like a universal. So I would love to publish a book of universal language terms for like marketing and sales.
I think the beginning of that book, before we publish that, should be we just did an account management training, and the first thing I was like, ask the person in charge what they call a qualified opportunity, and never use any term ever again but that when you're describing their outcomes. So if they
Yes.
say opportunity, you use the word opportunity. If they say qualified lead or SQL, you use that phrase, and nobody cares about anything else. We're on the same page now. So we can publish the book, but the heuristic should be speak their language so that they understand you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Show me a picture of what you call strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Where on the site? What do they
I'm going to
click
hold
and
up
what
three
happens?
cards. Is it card A? Is it card B? And then that's part of onboarding. It's like, we're going to learn, you and
Totally.
I, we're going
I
I'm
pull
going to
up the
conform to
website
you.
and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying and you don't know what I'm saying. Show me. What do you click? Who gets an inbound? Like what happens? So I agree. Yeah.
What CTA was I had
Goodness. Yeah, goodness. Is it words? Is
Where
it a
are the
button?
buttons? Where are the buttons?
Exactly.
Is there a form where you might write things before you click the button?
Yeah, which is probably in an iframe, so we can't track it anyway. We had that happen
No, now
yesterday.
you've lost me. You've lost me. Now
Sorry.
I feel dumb.
So,
iFrame. Yeah, I took a yeah. This is why I stopped being on social media, and then like years after recovery, I joined the LinkedIn's. But like it took
same.
I still have nightmares of
I
like
don't have any social
dashboards
media.
and like Facebook dashboards and
Yeah,
like managing things and
it's
all right, so
unhealthy for
now
most people. Yeah.
yeah, so now we're both like on the outside looking in sort of. I mean, you talk to a lot of agencies. You've done two leapfrogs now, two sales. So you got something going on. What do you think? Like we all need to have a POV. I think I know what the biggest problem with agencies is. What do you think the biggest problem is with agencies?
Oh, I don't know if you're going to like this answer, but it is congruent with your book. I think it's because the owners don't actually know what they want to achieve. They fundamentally haven't done enough introspection to know what they want as like an ideal outcome of their business. And so all of their decisions and tactics trickle down from that lack of like internal direction. And I think that's what fucks them up. Like I don't know if sorry if you need to bleep this out, but I think that's what truly messes up their long-term strategic planning. And so you have a bunch of random acts of desperation and reactiveness.
Yeah.
I think if you solve that problem and you're a smart, resourceful, gritty person, you won't actually have some of the bigger challenges that I see often.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna succeed or fail. It is our destiny to succeed or fail. And so uh the only thing you can really control at what you're going to succeed or fail at. That's really all you control is what's your vision, what's your objective.
There's also some
And then like
tactical
you may
things,
or
by
may
the
not
way.
hit it, but it is
Yeah,
too bad when, people go through decades of searching for that success, but they've never defined it. So it's like a moving target. It's never enough.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's probably like I mean, that's probably like my philosophical start there answer, but I'm sure you would love to hear of
Yeah,
like,
nobody's
yeah,
listening to this and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's what I've been missing, Ken." Yeah,
I
sure.
know.
Like nobody's going to go
So
fix themselves. But like, yeah, that's the truth. I agree with you.
tactics, right? Like I think you mean so number one is people don't have a pro forma. They don't know how to read a P&L. So their operating costs get all crazy, or they acquire a new employee at the wrong time that doesn't have the right, they don't have the right growth trajectory or planned pipeline to support that person. So now they're underwater in terms of their operating costs. They don't have a unique value proposition in the market defined. They're not leveraging automation to build efficiencies for their delivery model. They don't upsell enough on a monthly or quarterly basis with a specific methodology. So I think me and you could jam all day about that, but those are four that come to mind.
Here's a controversial thought. I don't think unique value propositions are worth much anymore.
I think it depends on how you define it, but I
Let me
agree
let me
with you if
well,
you
let me tell
if
you
we're
why.
talking about the same thing. Yeah,
Let me tell you why. Um, because anybody can say anything enough times to get the market to believe something that's not true. I think it's the same reason behind this community
oh, okay,
marketing. Like I
yes,
can have the most. So here's what's going to happen. People are going to, oh my God, what an incredible value proposition. How unique. That speaks to me 2 months into the account. It's like this is not what you said it was going to be. And
fair.
so these
Yeah,
people get jaded and they're like, you could have the greatest value proposition in the world. I don't care. Show me who's going to be the lead on my account. Let me phone one of your friends. In fact, I'll choose the industry influencer. I'll call them and ask about you. So I just think what we say is becoming less and less valuable because it can be faked and there's so much noise out there.
I'm retracting the fact that I used jargon to describe what I actually was thinking as a more complex topic. Max Trailer is right, let the record show. What I meant is define the thing in the world that you can be within the top 1% of and try to head towards that rapidly. That's what I meant by UVP.
Gotcha. So more of a introspective. I am going to use my time and energy to really hone in on something that no one can take from me.
Yeah, like I didn't build an SEO software because as a value proposition, I don't know how to build really good software. But I have gotten my own customers from my own SEO efforts to my own website. And so I could sell that methodology to clients as SEO is about revenue. So my value prop, you're right, it's just words and who cares if you can't back it up. But it is the thing I thought I could be one of the best at. And so I headed in that direction. So that's good for you for making me think about my words better.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where reputation comes from. It comes from I'm not speaking at I'm gonna do this again because I just love saying it. I'm not speaking at David Baker's agency Kickstarter,
Buy your
January 9th and
tickets now.
10th. I'm not. I'm buy your tickets now. Punctuation.com, David Baker. I'm not speaking at that event because I've flip flopped. For the last 10 years. I met David 10 years ago, and my positioning at the time was I help agencies productize consulting services. That's the book. He wrote the foreword for the book. He emails me a month ago and says, I want you to speak about productizing consulting services for these agencies. That's 10 years of just like, this is what I want to do. This is what my
Yep.
origin story is. So yeah, I get that. Plus
That's
my
so cool.
grandfather always said you have to know the territory. He was a smart guy.
Exactly. Smart grandpa wisdom prevails. That's exactly right.
Speaking of, if anybody was asking, that's what I think is the biggest challenge right now is the experience gap
Yep.
at agencies. We get, you've got the people coming into the market. Agencies go right after those people. But then you've got people exiting the market into fractional world. And so you look at the matchup, right? If it was a fight, if it was a boxing match and I had to put my money on you get fired or you upsell the client in 6 months, and you got Timmy the college grad, 3 years out,
Good old Timmy.
maybe did a year. Timmy I don't know why it's always Timmy. People that know me know that for some reason it's always Timmy the college grad.
What's your
Uh,
female version of Timmy?
Tammy.
Is it Tammy?
See, it can go both ways. And then there's your 30-year executive, that's clawed their way up through the software company ranks or the manufacturing company ranks, like something, they have their own language, a biotechnology company, and these people are paired against each other. And you're like, bro, you're good. Like the reality is what I thought the Tyson Paul fight was going to be like. I thought it was going to last 2 seconds. I bet $10 that Paul was down in the first punch, just down and out. It was the most disappointing thing ever. But that's what I look at and see with these agencies, and no one else sees that. I don't know why. But it's just a wild experience gap, not a skills gap. It doesn't really matter how skilled Timmy
Yes.
is.
Good point. Yeah.
Doesn't matter how skilled Timmy is. He could make water from wine, and a 30-year executive is going to be like, "Shut up, kid! I'm not falling for that shit." It's like, no, look, I just did it. And they're like, no, not up in here. you
Yeah.
know, not in my boardroom. You're not.
I actually think skills are not, I think it's fairly easy to rapidly acquire skills in today's environment with like educational resources. It's the experience of you have a map in your hand and actually you've been on the ground following the map. So you know the real best path versus what the map says. That to me is the skill, based on the experience and the wisdom, right? It's
I love
learned
that.
in practice. So yeah, I
Yep.
agree.
Yeah, it's like the GPS is a great analogy. Like I can get in my car right now at 2:30, and GPS will tell me I can get to Boston in an hour because there's no traffic. From
'Cause you-
experience, I know that 30 minutes into my drive, the entire situation will change. There's a
Totally.
40% likelihood there's going to be an accident. So I'm at like 80% chance it takes 2.5 hours. That's
Yeah.
experience.
Exactly. Or if I go, so it thinks that it's going to take 2 hours, but I know that I drive like a maniac at 90 miles an hour. I'm going to get there in 90, an hour and a half flat.
Yeah. Yeah. I am willing to risk my life to get there in 1 hour, and GPS doesn't get that.
Send it.
Yeah, that's yeah, lots of good analogies. But yeah,
I think
that's
you're
the
spot on, man. Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. But man, what yeah, what marketing? What happened to good old marketing?
Data, specific, creepy data and nerds took over, and all the creative and the art of it got lost. And now that people are have low trust, like you said, I think we're going back to art and human because of automation and saturation, essentially. So that's what I think.
All I know is people are not selling anymore. Like for as much as I beat up on marketing, I think sales is almost an easier target. Like when was the last time you got a phone call from a salesperson that wasn't completely annoying? Well,
Yeah.
first of all, when was the last time you actually got a sales call from a human being?
It happened. Unfortunately, it happens to me often.
No, no, no. I'm
But
not. No, no. I'm not talking about what happens to all of us often. You pick up the phone. There's a delay, and then if somebody picks up on a recorded line after the delay from the routing that you're received from some auto dialer, and they're like, "Is this Mister? Is this Robert?" Clearly, I go by Max. Is this Robert? That's how I know. I have like a deep fake in my name, like built in. Is this right?
you do.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone calling you, just like Ken. Look, man, I've been checking out your profile online. I'd love to talk to you at
Ooh.
some point about blah blah blah. Just wanted to give you a call and introduce myself, like a real person that did their homework.
Yep.
That's somewhere picking up a telephone, going, "I want to talk to Ken. See where he's at. Just let him know I exist." That doesn't happen anymore. But I would take that call. I'd be like, "Give me, you know what? That's awesome. I got a couple minutes. What's your pitch?"
Yeah, that's the great tragedy. So, I mean, haven't gotten one of those in a long time. I did get a call from the like Washington State University alumni, and it was this poor girl, and I could tell. So I did donate. She got me. Anyway, but other than that,
Tell me the
what?
story. How? No, say it ain't so.
No, she was honest. She's like, look, I get it. It was after dinner too. She's like, I get that it's after dinner, but she knew, she knows that's the time where I'm like, I don't know. Me and my wife, she likes to like put on some show and I'll sit next to her and make some popcorn or something. And she's just like, yeah, we just noticed that you haven't donated, but you're one of the alumni. I know it's after dinner and I might be catching you at a bad time. Is there a better time to call? And I was like, no, Stacy, like this is fine. What can I do for it? And she's like, yeah, I know this is uncomfortable. Like she's preempting my objections the whole time, and she's got to be like 20. I don't even know, but like you can tell she's new at this. And so anyway, that got me. But like as far as an actual B2B like
Because you
SDR,
can
BDR,
relate to that.
yeah, no, I got that because I've cold called many a time when I was younger to get my first few clients and for that other agency, and
Yeah.
it's horrendous, Max. Like picking up the phone, going to a dentist's office with a box of donuts is soul breaking. So I gave her that layup, but no, nobody actually outbounds me like you just described, and it's
Yeah.
a shame because I'd buy it. I
Well,
probably would if I needed.
yeah, well, I mean, you didn't need the donation. So
No, it was only $100, by the way. It was not a lot. Like I'm not some, we don't got it
that's the
like
tough.
that.
I mean, that's probably the toughest job in the world is calling people that are in a lifetime of debt, asking them to donate. It's like
That I deeply felt for that person.
that's a
Yeah.
recruiting pool right there. Like I gotta go phone my agency friends and be like, look, I got an idea. I know where we need to get our reps. they're the
Maybe
people
this is
calling
not
for
PC,
donations.
but like, yeah, Mormon students who are about to go off on their first mission and college reps who are trying to get donations. They're the GOAT. They grittiest people on the
Yeah.
planet Earth.
Yeah. Can I talk
You
to you
heard it
about
here.
Jesus? Right. That's it. That's perfect. Just let's replace Jesus with marketing.
Dude, I love to. So I'll send people like voice notes on LinkedIn. I think once you do it the way you just described it and treat it as like a conversation and helping somebody or whatever, it's actually fun and conversational, even if they're not in market. I'm
I
just like,
love
hey,
meeting people. Yeah.
I met you. You laughed at a joke. Yeah.
That's the big, what you just said. That's the key. Even if they're not in market, the reality is 95% of the people that you're going to meet, if you're dedicated to talking to people, 95% of the people you meet are not in market to buy.
Yep.
But that's the only way to be on their radar when they do get in market to buy. And you really have no control over when they get into market to buy. You can, all this crap
Exactly.
about demand, create demand in the market. Like, bro, you can just like talk about a
It's silly.
problem as long as you want. But like
Yeah.
something, it's like spontaneous life on Earth. It's like, was
Primordial
it the
ooze.
QBR? Was it the rock that they missed? Was it the Tony Robbins event that the CEO went to? Did somebody stub their toe in the bathroom and go, "Oh fuck, I wish I reduced churn." Like, what is the organic event that causes a company to just break through all that politics and go, "We're going to buy something"? Don't know. So you got to
Yep.
like just be ready and have the know, like, and trust relationships with those communities. There you go. See, communities, with those communities, and that, that's how you do it. But uh we all
Yeah,
just
our
breeze through
CEO,
that 95%. We're like, "Oh, you're not going to buy blah, blah, blah."
it's silly to me. Like I was talking to our CEO. We were looking at the P&L, doing Q1 planning, but he was like, "What's going to be the ROI, Ken, of your?" Because I was like, "I'm sending 2 messages a week to prospects and 2 messages a week on LinkedIn to just famous people that I want to be in their network, just shamelessly." And I'm like, I don't care what the outcome is. I'm completely detached. I'm just going to do this as a habit to see what happens. And I called it like Ken is dope points. We're not tracking pipeline from these activities, at least not for the first 3 or 4 months. I'm building Ken is dope points. I'm banking on that goodwill so that when they're ready, hopefully they think of me as a proxy to revenue send services. And he's just like, well, I don't know. What can we expect? We got to tell our like, and shout out to Onfolio. They give us a lot of like leeway, but I'm like, I have nothing to tell them. I'm banking on that goodwill for my brand and then,
Yeah.
the business as a whole.
What's
So
your
I think
plan?
that, yeah.
Meet more people.
Oh, oh, hey, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Well,
whoa.
what are you going to do? I'm going to talk to them like a human.
You know what's funny? We actually, and I'm so glad this happened within like a month or maybe two of me posting. I roasted uh Chris, whatever his name is, the famous guy from the Dimension company. I'll think of it later. But anyway, Chris Walker, yeah, super famous guy, growth guy, and I roasted him in a comment, and a prospect who was I didn't even know they were a prospect read that, filled out a form on our website. And we are like, how the heck did you hear about us? They're like, Ken's profile. I'm like, no, no, keep asking him, to our head of sales. And he's like, he read that comment on Chris Walker's post, thought it was funny, and asked us if we could help him. I don't know what else to say, Max. Like, that's the game, I think, going forward. It's a funny comment as a proxy to attention, learning about what we do. And if it's the right fit, they were not, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
we're pretty transparent. But if it's the right fit, they'll do it. They'll
Well, then
sign.
and then how were they exposed to that funny comment? It's not because we put them on some demand gen list for
They're
ABM.
not
It's because I met Jocko at the bar. We opened our phone. He followed me on LinkedIn. His second degree
Yep.
connection, Tammy. There you go. Tammy
Damn.
started. I started showing up in her feed. She didn't even follow me, but she commented
No.
on one of my posts a month ago. And then, so, like, I don't know what the algorithm is, there's no bother figuring it out because the answer is
Yeah.
meet more people.
Yep.
Oh, now we're moving around. These
Oh
cameras, man,
no.
they're crazy.
I know.
Yeah. So the answer is like do things that work. That uh, I mean, this is how business is done. It's not measured in a funnel. It's measured in like what have they done since the beginning of time. You build relationships.
Yeah.
Um, See you out there. Yeah. And you know what? I
Yeah.
have to close things. This is how I close things. I can't. When you do it, it's like once people start closing consistently, it looks like magic because nobody saw the 5 years of relationship building that they did, and then they discount it. They're like, "Oh, well, you've done 5 years of relationship building. I can't, catch up to that." It's like, yeah, that's why you should be fired, and we should go find more people that have been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah. I could not agree more, man. And honestly, for the CROs out there who are like having a massive heart attack right now about attribution, we could be nerdy and talk about all the cool ways that we track our effectiveness by channel. It discounts how effective it is over the long haul and the network effects that come from doing that if you only look at like your intermediate like KPI. So yes, we do track what's going to happen for my profile and engagement count and revenue we've closed from it, but like who cares at the beginning if the results are bad? Just get them to good. Build a network, then you
Yeah.
can start tweaking and tracking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd rather look at I like never want to find myself managing a sales team, but it'd be sort of fun for like a
Yeah,
month. And I'd be like,
yeah,
if anyone says the word automation, you're fired. Show me your telephones. Great.
yeah.
Good phone. Perfect. You know how to use it? and then
Seriously.
I'd say, shit, where was I going with this? Oh, the only attribution is your sales number. And then what I would do is I would document all of their behaviors. I would
Mm,
document anything they did daily or weekly. If you don't do it daily or weekly, then it's not a real behavior. And I would just, correlation, not even causation, just correlation of, oh, you post every day, you're a rock star. People, when they get on the phone with you, they're like, oh my God, it's the real Max.
yep.
Love your stuff. Hey, I was thinking maybe you could help me with this. It's like, okay, everybody listen to that recording. Now listen to Tammy's recording. Who the hell are you? What? I don't even remember why I took this call. It's like, yeah, that's the difference.
It is.
How do you report on that in HubSpot?
I mean, to be honest, for most companies, I don't even think it matters, right? Like they're trying to figure out how to warm up an inbox number three to send out another 10,000 messages, but they haven't even figured out what somebody on the VP of growth at whatever SaaS company actually wants, learned about them, and made a meaningful connection. You know what I mean? It's they're solving for the wrong sets of problems that have nothing to do with the buyer's decision making
Well, it
process.
should be a race. I would love to do. I think we need more of this. I think we need like you and I, instead of doing an interview, we share
Yeah,
our
forget about
screen. We share our screen. We pick an ICP in our and the rule is like we can't already be in conversation with them.
it. Okay.
And it's a race to how quickly we can get a qualified conversation, and then maybe points for like sentiment once they get on the call,
Oh, let's set it up, my guy.
like
I
a
like this.
speed
Yeah,
round.
yeah.
Because I've had people be like, "That's not possible," and I'm like, "Watch me," and I'll take the
I
last
can do it.
minutes and I'll just go. I'll
Yeah,
find a random person. I'll go, you pick anyone that looks like my ICP. Oh, this person. Okay, great. Second degree connection, not even connected. Okay, okay. I bet you in 24 hours this person replies, and within 48 hours I'll have a book call.
yeah. I mean, it's when you stop thinking about, like you said, automation and scalability of the outcome, you get real creative and interesting. The goat outreach that we used, I think it was last year. It was a picture of my Australian Shepherd puppy. All I said was, "Hope you're having a great day, and if you're not, Simba wishes you well." Without with 100% everybody was like, "Yes, thank you so much. This is adorable." Now, granted, were they all going to close or book meetings? No, only like,
No, but
maybe 10 or
it's
15%.
that first introduction of now we're gonna work on like and trust, which is like that's down the line, but you got to know me first.
Bingo. So yeah, that kind of stuff opens right up when you detach yourself from some of those like automations or scalability type thinking. So I think you're spot on. Yeah.
I forget who I was interviewing, but they were quoting somebody else. This is what happens when you interview people for 10 years. You're like, I was interviewing somebody that quoted somebody that wrote a book that was copying the book.
Yeah.
They said the things that work don't scale,
Yeah. Which is
which I think
fine
is
if it,
like a
I mean,
book. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like that doesn't scale. But the scaling to me is like now that I know how to do that, I can get my assistant, who's a real person, by the way, to like I'll do it for an hour and then I'll record everything that I'm doing. And over the years, we've been together like 6 years, like she can be Max.
That's pretty
Like
cool.
she knows what I'll say and she knows how to escalate things where somebody's just like, that's offensive. She's like, oh shit, hey Max, I offended somebody. I'm like, that happens all the time. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Daily. Yeah.
Yeah, just tell them like, whatever. Sorry.
Well, it's funny. Why I also we talked to some of our clients. I'm like, why are we talking about scalability when you're at step zero? You've had no results. We don't need to scale something that doesn't exist. It's a ridiculous place to start in your mind when you're thinking about next steps.
Yeah. Well, okay. So think about then automation for, we won't even talk about growth stage companies because what
Mm,
does that mean? Everyone is in a stage of growth.
yeah.
Anyway, but like all these software companies with automation are selling automation to startups. So to your point, like, what are you automating?
Yeah.
You're automating a pitch that doesn't work. You're automating a salesperson's ability to miss quota every time. So yeah, it's too. I've seen it. I've lived it. It's like, dude, that doesn't. And you know this. What's sobering? The way to like open your eyes is to leave the company you work for and actually have to hunt and kill for yourself.
Max, please let them know. Put them on game. Say it
Yeah,
again.
because like when
Yes.
you're operating without a
Yep.
safety net, you have a timer where you're gonna have to sell your apartment and live on the
Or your
street. That's a
chair.
timer.
Or your chair.
Or your chair. You might have to sell your chair. You're not going to be nose deep in some email automation platform. You're just
I didn't have
not.
a CRM until we were like over 100K in ARR. You know what I mean? Like, why would you? It was a spreadsheet. That's what works.
Dude, look, I have a simple CRM and I have used it after spreadsheets got too much. I've gone back to spreadsheets and I'm just like, why was I ever doing that?
Yeah.
Spreadsheets are awesome. Shout out to Microsoft. You, like, when was the
Yes.
last time Google looked at something Microsoft did and they're just like, we're not even going to change it. We're just going to like
Just-
make it our own. This is Google Sheets. Can we just steal it? Is it patented? No, we'll just steal it.
no, we got. Yeah.
You know,
You're
it's
so
like
right, dude. Yeah.
there's a reason, and there's like, you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, we'll have companies that are like, I mean, it's funny because you said that. Like it'll be like a Series B well-funded company. They're like, I'm like, so how's your performance doing for like your inbound? And they'll just be like, we're crushing it. I'm like, okay, amazing. So like tell me about your demos booked and like how much how much revenue, what's your average pipeline, like the basics. And they're like, oh, we don't have any of that, but we need to scale our SEO program. And I'm like, scale what then? What are
Yeah.
we scaling? You've had zero outcomes that you want. So let's tear it all down, start from the fundamentals, and then work to scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
And
those
and
are the funniest
some of the
companies.
people I've met where I'm just like, you know, you meet people and you're just like, dude, you are like literally just ahead of me. This was awesome just to see. It's
That
never
too.
in a piece
Yeah.
of software. It's always a spreadsheet that I look at and I'm just like, this is dope.
Yeah.
Like, give me your spreadsheet guy, you know? It's always some
They're the
spreadsheet.
best people. They're the
Yeah.
best people.
And they're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, someone can put this into a piece of software if they want. There's like a million things that you can put it into, but like I want to be able just to create because I know how to use this and I don't have to go through like a million windows of trash, then call up support on like, why is this thing, you know? It's like, dude, bro, just give me, look, I could run my entire business with just spreadsheets. Like I use the docs and
You totally can.
I
Project
use the
management.
PowerPoint
Yeah.
stuff too.
Yes.
But like if you just gave me a spreadsheet, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do
That's
that.
all I use. Yeah. Google
Maybe I'll do
Google
that.
Suite before revenues end because we have like team members and finance, like whatever. But all I used was just docs and sheets. It was great. It was great.
There's another, so I've gone through periods of like I do create sometimes I follow through on this. Like my business partner and I in 2022 took every fourth month off. I was like, we already work with
Love
clients on a
that.
quarterly basis. Why don't we just tell them that like we're not available on the fourth months? It actually worked
Yeah.
out pretty
I
well.
do
We
that
made this.
personally, but I love that as like a standard thing for the yeah.
Well, I just like to. It's the same concept of doing fire drills. Like, so at an agency, you're like, okay, fire drill. The principal is gone for a week.
Hmm.
You just take the principal out as a sacrifice to see whatever all the things that break.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah.
I've
So
never
just
heard of
little
that.
things like
It's
that.
like
So here's
red
what I
teaming
want.
it.
So
Yeah.
here's some of the experiments. You can't use your computer because now every CRM platform's gone, but you still have you still can use LinkedIn, anything. So you can just use your phone. Um, of course, no automation. I talk about that all the time. Uh, but like one medium, like just sheets,
Yep.
like just sheets. That's all you get. You get a phone and you get sheets
Dude, that's all I need. Like, I'm comfortable. I'm way more comfortable in that space than I am with ClickUp and yeah.
with like a goal of like you need to book 10 meetings with our ideal clients in a week.
Say less,
That's the
Max.
contest.
Yeah.
Like
Without Slack and ClickUp, I actually am way more productive and effective. So it's like it's even better.
I
Yeah.
have never I tell you this with 100% honesty. I have never logged into Slack. I refuse I am just morally against it. This is like I never got into Pokemon because the first time I looked at it, I was like, that is stupid.
Well, that's blasphemous. I
Well,
disagree vehemently,
I'm
but
thank God we
yeah,
found something that we can disagree on.
I love
But
Pokemon and Digimon, by the way.
I mean, I was a big Power Rangers fan, and you know what? For me,
Awesome.
it was Barney. Like, I was a Barney dude. That's it. So we all got our thing. Uh,
Ooh,
I,
left field. I have a meeting in 5 minutes. How are we going to close this out?
wow, I didn't get that far. Um, I
I didn't either. I
don't.
thought it would only be like 45 minutes or so, but we're going to take the
I
full
know.
time.
I told you this would happen. I'm like now I'm lost. How do you measure progress in your life?
Personally,
Well, yeah. Is what other way is there?
I'm a business owner. I measure some of my own life progress against my company's outcomes, but for only personal stuff, I got my little 5 buckets and I journal a lot and I have like you can't see it, but there's a whiteboard with stuff written down that what I want to accomplish in different increments. I kind of just check in. I ask myself like,
No,
wife,
okay. I guess that's the literal answer, and I know we got 4 minutes. That's the literal
yes,
answer of like how you measure progress. But no, like what is
yeah,
your method of progression? So it could be money, it could be free time, it could be spiritual connectedness. It's like when
oh yeah,
if you're looking back 3 years from now, you're like, I have more work life balance, or I have made more money. Like, what is the motivational measuring
yeah.
stick?
For me, it's like the density of quality experiences with people that I care about and things that I
It's
care
a good
about.
answer. So
It's
the
pretty like I
density
mean,
of
it's the
quality
amount of
experiences.
things that I've done in a given time period, like divided by that time period. It's that density, that percentage. That's what I'm always moving towards because I started a business for autonomy, plain and simple, like autonomy of my time to do meaningful things. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, then of course you got to define meaningful experiences. But yeah, I love that answer. The density of me. That's like a book title, by the way. Density of meaningful experiences. I think
I'll
a
write
lot
it down.
about book titles, and that's a winner.
Yeah, I mean, for me though, it's I don't know. I do a lot of cool stuff all the time that I fills me up because like that's what I care about most, and some of it's boring have to do on the business, but for me it's about that. Like
Yeah, and
I
then
want to do more
and
cool
then you
stuff.
could just call it magma.
Tales of
What's your
magma's
magma?
tales, density of
Yeah,
yeah.
what's your magma? What do you mean by that? Well, it's like the density of your quality experiences. We call
That's
it
dope.
magma.
Future book title.
Yeah, like if you ever took over Apple, like that'd be like your HR speech. It's like we're focusing on our magma.
I'll give you your 10% of royalties.
All right. Cheers. All right, you get to your thing. We got to shut this down. Thank you, world. For those of you listening to Beers with Max, don't operate any heavy machinery. Tip your waitress. See you next time.